After we stretch, the next thing we do is we'll go to a pat and go period. When we do our pat and go period, we want our quarterbacks, our wide receivers, our tight ends, and our running backs all to work together to find ways to get loose, to loosen up both the arms and their legs, and most importantly, work on a sequence of catching that they'll have to do come the game. We start our wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs all running slants. The reason why we do that is we want the quarterback, number one, to be able to loosen his arm up. Number two, the receivers to work through about from a 50 to a 75% speed up to about an 80% speed when it's all over. Plus, you can never throw enough slants. Offenses are built on being able to have some catch and runs, and in order to do that, we're asking our guys to go forward here and make sure that they're catching the ball on all of their three-step slants. The next thing we're doing is we're asking our guys to catch seam routes. Here we tell our guys we're throwing seam routes versus middle of the field close where there's a post-high safety. If there's a post-high safety, whether it be here or here, we're telling our receivers to be staying right here at the top of the numbers. We don't want the quarterback to complete the ball any more than 20 yards down the field, telling them the ceiling is at 25 yards. So if they complete the ball any more than 25 yards, it's not as good of a rep as we're looking for. Here you can see the quarterback throwing to both tight ends and to wide receivers and to running backs, making sure that we always get a good rep, always catching the ball, keeping them outside as much as we possibly can at the top of the numbers, and working through our progression. After we've gone through the line of slants and then the line of outside seam routes, we move our wide receivers in, and we ask our wide receivers to get into what a slot formation would be. Same with their tight ends and our running backs. Here you can see they're in a slot formation, and what we do is we work on cover two benders. We like to throw all go often in this offense, and in order to do that, you have to be prepared and able to throw it against two safeties. With that being said, we ask the wide receivers to push up 10 yards, stick their foot in the ground, and cross the face of the imaginary safety, catching the ball at 20 yards towards the goal post. Here you can see on both sides we're asking our guys to do this, so we never worry about any collision at this case because we're encouraging width off the start. The final phase of the program in Pat and Go is we work on back shoulder throws. When you're throwing back shoulders, it's so critical to be able to throw the line drive ball at the left back pad right here. It's a very hard throw to defend, but yet you don't ever practice it nearly as much. So what we did was we incorporated the back shoulder throw into an everyday part of our world to make sure that we could constantly work on throwing it, catching it, and getting better at it so we can actually make sure that we always are able to run this play against any defense all season long. It's going to be something that we do every day, and it's something we're going to practice to become great at. The reason why we do pat and go every day and rhythm throw is so the quarterback is comfortable making throws of slants, seams, and back shoulder throws. Here you can see an example of the quarterback having on the 3rd and 9 calling a slant and being able to practice catching the ball out of shotgun, making the throw on the slant. You can see the wide receiver and the quarterback are both in sync, both comfortable with the route, and able to convert a 3rd down into a 1st down. Here you can see the quarterback is now accustomed to making the throw deep down the field and making sure that the wide receiver stays at the top of the numbers. Here, if you catch an eye on this wide receiver right here, you can see how that wide receiver is running straight down the field like he wouldn't pat and go, catching the ball over his shoulder. What we're asking the quarterback to do is release the ball off of one hitch, one hitch, and release the ball, and that is exactly what we would ask him to do in both his pat and go and his individual work. The reason why we practice so often our rhythm throws is so the quarterback's able to understand that his feet should tell him everything. Here you can see the quarterback taking a 5-step drop, one hitch, and releasing the football, trusting the wide receiver will be where he's supposed to be. The next example of our pat and go period is when our quarterback is asked to throw the bender route. The bender in this picture here will come from the tight end position where he will run a seam, and at 10 yards he will stick his foot in the ground and head right towards the goalpost. Here the quarterback is going to have to throw the ball over the Mike linebacker in between the two safeties. This is a throw that in pat and go these tight ends and wide receivers are accustomed to making on a daily basis, and the quarterback is accustomed to making these type throws. So it's both a catch and a throw that we've thrown every single day in pat and go and a rhythm throw, and it then permits us to take that play to the game. The next example and the way we end our pat and go period is by throwing back shoulder throws. Here you could see us to the tight end. Quarterback is now throwing the back shoulder high ball to the tight end for a touchdown pass. I think if you don't run a pat and go period every day, you're not accustomed to making these type catches, and sometimes if you're not accustomed to those type catches, they don't happen in the games. Here the quarterback's very comfortable with it. Quarterback knows exactly the footwork he's going to use. The tight end's able to react to the ball and give us a big time play. The final example of the back shoulder throw is the deep back shoulder throw, one that we also practice in our pat and go period. Here the quarterback's laying it out there to the wide receiver's back shoulder. You can see in this case here the opportunity is either an over the top and hope that this guy can't dig it out, or a back pad, which is indefensible. Here, as he throws the back pad throw, the wide receiver is accustomed to reacting to the football, is accustomed to making sure that he can tuck the ball in, and now scoring a touchdown in this situation. The quarterback, you can see, is on one hitch, delivering the ball to the back pad, making a great throw and catch, and allowing the Miami Hurricanes to score a touchdown.